I'm Cory with the Cory Turner Show, and it's time for another Hallmark Christmas movie review / discussion, this time of 5-Star Christmas. Now, when, first let me say this about Hallmark movies. Okay. When it comes to Hallmark movies, I just adore these things. I know I probably shouldn't, but I mean, you can say that they're simple and silly and repetitive, but you could also say that they are sweet and they're charming and they're romantic, and I just love them. I probably shouldn't, but I just absolutely love them. So I love watching these movies. Now, here's a spoiler alert for you. Normally I just do a movie review. I tell you what the movie's kind of about and why you should watch it, but I don't give anything away. But I'm the only one watching these movies, so I need someone to talk to about these movies, and that's going to be you. So if you have not seen 5-Star Christmas, stop here, go watch it, then come back here, please subscribe to the channel, and then leave me some comments, and we can talk about this movie, because I'm going to give some stuff away, and I don't mean to, it's just I got to have someone to talk to, so you're going to be it. So spoiler alert right away. Okay, so here we're going to jump into 5-Star Christmas. So, and also about me, when we talk about films and movies, I don't take notes during the movies. This isn't a book review. I just love the movies, and I like to talk about the movies. So I don't, I don't always get all the names right, and I can't pronounce anybody's name to save me. I'm really bad about that. So I'm probably going to miss some stuff. I've got my iPad right here. So I've got IMDb up, and I can, make sure I got some characters' names right. But for the most part, this is just from my memory, and I may miss a few things. But please bear with me and hang in there. So anyway, so 5-Star Christmas. So we start off with our main character, and her name is Lucy. And Lucy is a very successful ad exec, advertising executive in the big city, right? She does really well. She just took over that big account, and she's kind of making fun of him. But that Santa did look like he was going to steal some electronics from that store. But anyway, I think that wasn't tough competition she had to beat on that one. I don't know what you thought. But anyway, so we meet Lucy. She's going to head home for Christmas. Now, as she's walking through the office, she's saying bye to some of her employees and some of her coworkers, and she is really sweet to everybody. I don't know if you noticed that, but I really like that. She has the one employee who just bought a new car. He can't afford to go home for Christmas. She surprises him with a round-trip ticket so he can go home for the holidays. So she's super nice. At the same time, did you notice that she's kind of hard on men, maybe a little bit picky, maybe higher standards? What I mean by that was, we did find out that her boyfriend, they just broke up about 5 or 6 months ago. One of the main factors being he chewed with his mouth open. At least that's what she said. There was one employee she had a great conversation with, that she handed him club soda so he could remove the coffee stain from his suit, right? Did you notice when she got in the elevator that she looked down to the guy next to her and she's like, your shoe's untied? So she's might be a little overcritical, but we're not going to hate her for that. And it doesn't play into her character all that much as far as us being, not liking her. But I did think that was funny. They really kind of set that up right off the beginning. So she travels back home to this town where she grew up from. Can't remember the name to save me. I'm sure it has pine in it. Wouldn't you think it has pine in it somehow? Leave me the name of the city in the comments, because everything in the city had to do something with pine cone, pine, whatever. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So she drives home. The first thing she does is she goes to this little general store, right? And I don't know about you, I love the curator of the general store. I thought that guy was sweet man. So she goes over and she loves sassafras candy canes. And so she grabs one, and it's the last one in the bin. And as she grabs it, there's a big hand that comes in and grabs it. They just grab it at the same time, right? And it is Jake. And Jake's played by, what's his name? Oh, yeah, Victor Webster. And also, when I watch these movies, I try to pretend like I've never seen any of these people before, right? So it's always fresh, right? Sometimes you've seen them in a lot, but you try to pretend they have. But anyway, so Jake is there. And now they both want the same candy cane. Surely there's more, but the curator's like, no, that's the last one. So she challenges Jake for it. Lucy does, and so it's kind of a trivia, and she tells all this trivia about candy canes and sassafras, but his knowledge is a little bit bigger, and he ends up winning. It comes down to a draw, and then he adds a few extra things about sassafras, and so he ends up winning. But he's decided, Jake's a nice guy, he's going to give her the candy cane. She's like, no, you want it fair and square, that's the way it goes, so you take it. So As she's going rumbling through the candy canes, I don't know if you saw that, but she's running through the candy canes. You see him kind of walk out the door. He kind of takes a look over at her, but he walks out the door behind her. And she goes to the counter. She pays for her coffee, and the curator's like, "Oh, and the gentleman left this candy cane for you." And she's like, "Oh my gosh!" And he's like, "He even paid. Looked like $1. That's a huge candy cane for $1." But anyway, paid for it. She's like, "Well, it's a shame he's not here anymore, right?" So she leaves. Now, what just happened? Now, you guys know I'm a filmmaker. I make movies, but that was what we call a meet cute, right? Have you ever seen the movie Holiday? Oh gosh, love Holiday. I think I do a review of it every year. But anyway, probably we'll do it again this year. I can't remember the gentleman's name in it. He was playing the screenwriter, the elderly gentleman. He talked about that meet cute, where two central characters meet in this cute little setting, and that's what it was. That was around that sassafras, around that candy cane. So that was the meet cute. So that set us up for what we knew what was going to start coming from there. So Lucy travels home. Now, Lucy's going home to be, of course, with her dad, her grandparents, her brother and his wife, and her younger sister who's in college. And we've seen a little foreshadowing that something's wrong with the family house. Did you notice, like, everybody that pulls up is like, "What?" Right? So that happens each time. So when Lucy pulls up, she's like, "Huh!" And there's the sign, right? There's the Ralston bed and breakfast. And Dad has turned the family home into a bed and breakfast. And Lucy is not handled as well. So Lucy kind of comes rushing into the house. Did you notice the size of those doors? First of all, beautiful house. I know in the movie he renovated and did all that, but this is a gorgeous house. I don't know whose house this is. Whoever scouted this location, I thought did a great job. Just a beautiful house. But did you see the size of the doors? If you watch it again, check it out. So it's the big door, and it has the windows across the top. And you would think that'd be something you could look out and see who's people coming in. No, unless Lucy is way more petite than I thought. When she came in, she looked tiny compared to those doors. So beautiful doors. Sorry, just something I picked up. But the dad, Ted Ralston, he has renovated the entire house. It's gorgeous. Like, he should go into interior design, because if he did that by himself, I'm going back into the movie, experiencing the movie, right? But he spent a ton of money, and you can tell, like the refrigerator, the Sub-Zero refrigerator, he spent, $9,817 change somewhere. So a lot of money was spent redoing the house. Lucy's not happy because she wanted to come home to a family Christmas, the house she grew up in, things kind of be the same. And so they sit down, they do a little family sit-down meeting. Grandpa's there. He brought the younger daughter from the bus stop. She drove him in. And the brother and his wife are there, so they're there. And the dad, I don't know what you thought about it. I thought this was a really sweet scene. It went pretty quick. But I felt it was pretty genuine. The dad, Ted, says that all the kids are grown up. Everybody's out of the house. His wife, their mother, passed away 12 years earlier. And he's lonely. And so this is a chance for people to come through. And he was a forest ranger, I believe. And now he wants to do this bed and breakfast. And that's what he wants to do. So they ask him how's it going? And he's like, well, it could go better. So we realize right away, the son is an IT person, deals with domains and stuff like that. The bed and breakfast has no website, no real advertising, just some postcards at the around town at the tourist places about the bed and breakfast. So Dad's done a great job of setting up the house. Failed miserably at marketing. It's been open for 2 months, and it's not good. He goes outside to get something out of food out of the truck. Lucy follows him out there. She's a little bit still upset, and she's like, Dad, well, I don't care for this. And he's like, look, this is what I want to do, and all of that. Now, I know it's a short movie. You got less than, with commercials, hour and a half, whatever. I thought that was a little bit of a quick transition for Lucy. If I had any... not even criticism, just that was fast. Her transition from being kind of aggravated in this young kid, which I'll say the whole time I was like, you're a grown adult. Your dad can move on. And I understand maybe you're looking back at your childhood and you're like, oh, my childhood's gone and all that kind of stuff. You change the house, whatever, put everything in the basement. I think put all their stuff in the basement. She didn't care about that. But I was like, come on now. So when she made the switch, I was okay. It just felt like it was really quick. There was that little 2 or 3 sentences, few lines outside by the car that got her to switch. So I would have liked to seen maybe a little bit more there before she made the switch, but that's okay. So she makes a switch and not being mad at it anymore, to understanding why the dad is doing it, but also trying to realize that he tells her he only has about 2 months of cash reserves left. Otherwise, the house is, they're going to lose everything, the house, everything. So now she kind of goes into her executive mode about how we're going to save the house. What are we going to do? So while they're standing there talking, a lady drives up in a BMW. She has a flat tire, and that is Laura Soltis. Is that her name? I think that's right. Laura. She plays part of Beth Turner. I really enjoyed her in this. I thought she did great. So she pulls up. She has a flat tire. Left front flat tire is flat. So Ted, the dad's like, hey, I'll take care of it. She's like, no, I can call AARP or whoever. She's got something set up. And he's like, no, we'll take care of it for you. Now, and a little bit right before that, before they went outside, we find out that there is a bed and bath reviewer. Bed and bath. Okay, bed and breakfast reviewer who is in the area. And her name is B. Turner. And she reviews, she has a blog, and she either can make or break a bed and breakfast. Like if she gives you a good review, you're set. She gives you a bad review, go back to being a forest ranger, right? So they find out she's in the area, and they're like, oh my gosh, she may come here. And they also discuss the fact that so she can do real reviews, she uses an alias, no one knows who she is, and she does a cover like that. So while they're out there, they're going to help her change the tire. Lucy's going to help. They open the trunk. The lady grabs her suitcase. It says B-T on it, right? Initials B-T. And she says her name is Beth Thomas, I believe is what it is. And so Lucy is sure that this is the reviewer. She's supposed to be coming through. The lady story talks about she's going to go visit some family up north, a little further up north, whatever it is. So it kind of falls into place. Now, I don't know what were you thinking there? Is this her? Was that too simple? Did that, I know we're talking about a movie, so you have to make it all kind of flow and work. Was the flat tire too simple of a mechanism to get her to stop at the place? Did she do that on purpose to throw them off? I don't know. But anyway, so they're pretty sure it's her. So Lucy runs back inside. Here's the problem. She's going to come and review a bed and breakfast, but there's no guests there at all. There's no employees. It's just Dad. And so Lucy and the family decide they're all going to assume roles. They're all going to assume roles, and they're going to be employees, people taking care of the place, and also people staying there. So her brother and his wife, who are getting ready to travel the world, decide to be guests. And, okay, so I don't mind, how do I say this? There are mechanisms to a movie, and you got to have characters, and you got to have all that. They were so kind of over the top in their exaggerations of traveling the world, which was on purpose, that it almost made me nervous. And that's weird to say. I don't get nervous during movies, but it was so over the top. And they were talking about places they've never been, places they want to go, because we learned in the beginning that they want to go to these places. You're like, they're going to get caught. And that's the whole point. But for some reason, that made me nervous. I don't understand. Anyway, it served its point. It made me nervous. Slightly awkward, a little uncomfortable. But anyway, they assume that role. The daughter the sister that's in college decides she's going to be the chef. Lucy does not like that idea at all, but she's going to be the chef. The grandfather, love the grandfather. What is the grandfather's name? Oh, Jay. Yeah, he plays Walter. Okay, Jay is going to be the handyman. He gets assigned that role. And so the lady walks in, and she gets to meet everybody, and everybody starts assuming their roles. And, of course, at first, Dad is like, what's going on? Because he didn't understand either, right? So they all think this is the reviewer. So everybody assumes their roles. And like I say, the brother and his wife, they're so over the top, fake accents. It's the world travelers. It's kind of nutty. But Laura, who plays Beth Thompson, she seems to really enjoy it. So they're all visiting. And then the door opens again, the bell rings, and who should walk in? Fresh off of our meet cute about an hour or two earlier. Well, 6 minutes earlier for movie time. And it is Jake, right? And he is needing a place to stay. He's a surveyor of some kind. And he's going to be traveling, but he's working over the holidays, and he needs to stay there. So that was nice. That was pretty good. Of course, Lucy asked, where in the world how'd you find out about us? And it was the Dad's postcard at one of the tourist stops that he'd put it off of. So, hey, Dad's marketing actually worked. So they check him into the hotel and get him all set up. Absolutely love the grandfather as he's trying to be the handyman and being high and overly nice and all that. So what did you think at this point? All right. I knew it was Jake from right here, right? In fact, it just seemed so obvious that Jake was actually the reviewer, even though we've totally been set up that it was a girl. We got this other lady there, the initials match. I just felt like Jake was it. In fact, I felt like Jake was it so much that I thought maybe that was they were throwing us off the off the trail that way. Like, sometimes they'll put it in so obvious who the killer is or who the bad person is that you just like, well, that can't be it because they made it so obvious. But at that point, I was like, it's got to be Jake. I don't know. I just felt like it was going to be Jake. Tell me what you thought. Put that in the comments. So now then, life kind of carries on from there, right? Ted and Beth Thompson, the lady we think is the reviewer, or we're really led to believe is the reviewer, they have a very sweet relationship. I would have preferred to see that develop a little bit more. It was sweet, but I think they could have pushed that a little bit more, but I thought that was pretty sweet. They were really sweet with each other. There's a lot of different little plots going on in this. Grandmother shows up. She's adorable. I love the grandmother. When she decides, so the grandmother on the wife's side that passed away, so it's her mom. The grandfather is Ted's dad, right? So I'm assuming his mom passed away as well. Okay. We got that out. But the grandmother, she comes in. She's like, when she walks into the house, they're all at a dinner. And she's like, do I know everybody here? Well, Lucy rushes her outside and says, hey, this is what's going on. So, but you can still be my grandmother because these people know me as Ted's daughter. And she's like, hey, no, I want to play a character. So she comes in playing another crazy world traveler character. She's a lot of fun with it. The dinner was funny. I don't know about you. I don't know if I'd have even tried the dinner. So the younger daughter, what is the younger daughter's name? Let's stop with that. Amber, played by Grace Beatty. So Amber, the college student, she moved off campus, and so she started cooking for herself in her own apartment. And so she makes for the first dinner just this soup, and it is a green mush. Like, I don't know if I'd have tried it. I'd have had to been like I was on Fear Factor or something, and like, okay, I'm gonna have to just try to eat this. But Beth Thompson eats it, and she's like, oh, this is good. And then Jake eats it, and he's like, it's good. And then everybody starts to eat it, and it's super good. So it turns out that Amber, who has changed her major at school so many different times, she actually is a really good cook. From there, we could talk for 3 hours about this, but a lot of little sweet elements that go through the movie from here. And then we start to see that relationship between Jake and Lucy. And we knew that was going to happen ever since the candy cane situation, but it was fun to watch this develop. As they go to town and she shows him the sights of the town, as they sit at the campfire, or not the campfire, but they sit around the fire. That was a really... that was a sweet scene. It could have been more to it for me, a little more discussion, but we learned a little bit more about her mom and her relationship there. We learned about him and his family. He's an Army brat, military brat. He's had to travel around forever. I thought it was really cool that the stars were his thing, to kind of be home, and the stars were her thing to be home. So they shared that together. I thought that was really good. And so... it's sweet and it's evolving, right? So the brother and his wife, all of a sudden the wife ends up, she does a pregnancy test and she's pregnant, but she's worried about telling the husband because he wants to travel the world. That storyline, it was good. It was sweet. It was definitely off of the peripheral for me. Like, it wasn't right in the running with Ted and Beth and Jake and Lucy, for sure. Those storylines were like really the main for me. The brother and his wife and all of that, they were sweet, but I think some of it might be because they were so over top as characters when they were playing world travelers, and it made me uncomfortable. Like I said, that's stupid to say it made me uncomfortable, but it did. That I think maybe I didn't quite bond with them as much because I was worried they were going to screw up the whole time. And they did screw up the one time, if you remember, when Jake was talking about his family in Germany, and he mentioned like the town hall or square, and they thought it was a mall, and they bought pants there, whatever. But so I think that's why that didn't. It was sweet, but I didn't connect with it as much. I did connect with Amber, the college student, when she found the video player that showed her mom cooking, and her finding her mom's recipes, and then the grandmother being so sweet about all that. And I think it's really cool. And it snuck up on me at the end, I'll be honest with you, I'm going to jump ahead on that Amber is going to become a chef. Like I knew she was having issues with school. I knew that Lucy was like, you got to find out what you're going to do. But it kind of snuck up on me. It was a nice little surprise that, oh, cooking's her thing. Like, should have seen that the whole time, but I think I was enjoying Lucy and Jake's relationship as that was going so much better. So then what are we about halfway through the movie when Jake takes a phone call from one of his employees, and what do we find out? He is the bed and breakfast writer, which we already knew. So then I had to say, what do you think? I think I didn't want them to tell me that. I think it would have been better for me watching if I didn't know that he was the writer. It wasn't bad the way they did it. I know it was trying to develop some conflict, but because I already felt like he was the writer, I felt like there was already conflict. And then I was still questioning myself a little bit, like, was this too simple? And so maybe it is the lady. That when they told me, I was like, oh. I was like, it kind of took away some of the conflict for me because I've already been living that conflict, and you may have felt different about that. I kind of wish they hadn't. I'd like to have seen if it had played out if they hadn't told me that he was the person. But anyway, so we find out he is the person. He is the writer, and then we have the part where Lucy lets him know that what's going on. She lets him know that they think Beth is the writer, that this really is all her family members, and that they're carrying this on because they're trying to save the family home, and kind of burdens him with the truth. And then he's at a point where he can't really say. And I don't know, should he have said something at that point? I don't know. It was things kind of moved really quick around that point because they were at the festival. So he didn't say at that point, which of course leads us to trouble later. Another just really sweet scene. Everybody in the family is not supposed to go to the Christmas festival, the town festival, because they can't be seen by other people because they'll call them by their names, and then Beth Thompson's going to find out that they're not that they're all family and not really working at the hotel or guests. When grandfather sneaks out of the house and grandmother's on the front porch and she catches him, I thought that was just a really sweet little scene. I really liked that. And then she's like, well, you're going to need, grown up to go make sure you're okay. And so she goes with him. I just thought that was super sweet. So I really enjoyed that. Okay, so now we're back. Amber is making some great meals. Everybody's loving it. They are downstairs, I believe, having dinner or doing something, decorating the tree or something, and the lights cut off. Now, the lights have cut off a couple of times throughout the movie. They did a good job of setting that up. And the breaker is in Jake's room, which was the pine cone room, I think? Cedar room? I can't remember. She asks permission, she goes up there, she flips the breaker, she comes by, and she sees on his computer Christmas at the Ralston Bed and Breakfast, and she knows it is him. And when she comes downstairs, there is no hiding the fact, right, that she knows it's him, and she's pretty blunt in her emotions about that. And when they have their confrontation about it, I guess you'll say, she was very upset. I almost felt like she was upset and embarrassed. It wasn't just that she was so mad at him for not telling her. I mean, everything, their entire relationship, other than the sassafras, the candy cane, it was all lies. Like everything she said to him, the entire trip was lies. So there wasn't an ounce of truth in most of it. Now, there was when she's talking about her mom and her dad, but for the most part, everything else was a lie. So then she was kind of mad at him for not telling her, but I take it more as she was mad and embarrassed, and sometimes you lash out in anger when you're embarrassed instead of just being like, okay. So they had that breakup there. I felt it played well. Like I say, she was mad, and I don't know if he should have told her. I mean, of course he probably should have told her, but I don't know how he would have told her before. So anyway, I was just like, hopefully this is going to work out. While that is happening, right before that, Ted and Beth have just had some great scenes as well. She goes and helps him because he's going to be the Santa Claus in the town square, and she goes with him. They spend time together. I really like their relationship. So, of course, then it comes out that Jake is the reviewer, and I did like that when he said, everything you say right now will not affect the review. So I thought, okay, that was pretty good when they had when him and Lucy had their talk. I thought the interactions with Beth and Ted, I thought that was genuine. I really liked that. I liked the fact that that she was digging him. Like I said, the only thing about their relationship, I really wanted to see more. I would have been good with them developing that out more. They worked on the brother and the sister in the pregnancy. And she was afraid that the husband was going to be mad because he wanted to travel. And, of course, that worked out, and that was really sweet. I would have liked a little more attention maybe on Beth and Ted. I just felt like there could have been a little more storyline there for us. But, of course, it was still great the way it was. So Lucy finds out that Jake's left. She's aggravated. The dad, the grandfather and Ted had a really good conversation about the fact that, if you really want something, you have to go over it after it. There was something they had said in there that it was a really good little line that I can't remember right off the top of my head, but it was sweet. But basically, if there's something you want, you have to go after it. And so the dad has that talk with Lucy. And Lucy's like, no, you're right. So Lucy finds out that Jake is at Pine Cove, another bed and breakfast across town. We've had some interaction with them. She runs to the general store, and the curator gives her a handful of sassafras. She's like, don't eat all those at once. She's, no, I won't. And then she runs out into the street. Now, this sets up a cute, awkward, funny scene. So earlier in the movie, when they were at the town square, Lucy starts singing Christmas carols because everybody in the city's singing Christmas carols. Jake's not. He's just like, which I thought was funny. I'm like, there didn't need to be anything said. You realize that guy can't sing. I don't know if he can really sing in real life. Don't know. But she had made mention when they were around the fire pit about talking about Blue Christmas, I Have a Blue Christmas, Elvis Presley, that there was this whole memory she had of that she broke out laughing as one of those fond memories that she had. And so when she walks out into the street, you hear... You hear someone singing Blue Christmas. Oh, and it's absolutely crazy. It is Jake, and he's singing Blue Christmas to her. He is doing the Elvis pelvis. He is going down, and he is singing, and of course she's laughing away, and that brings those two back together, which means, guess what? It's going to be shocking. In a Hallmark movie, we actually had a nice, happy, sweet ending. It worked out for Ted as well with Beth. I was thinking that that relationship just stayed pretty simple because I thought Beth might be mad to know that the whole time they were being all that sweet to her that she thought it might be a lie. It wasn't. I think they were just generally that sweet to her. There was a little bit of a lie because they thought she was the reviewer. I thought they could have thrown in that she was upset, and it kind of took an intervention of all of them to save that. But that relationship went well. So Ted and Beth were fine. The brother and his wife were good. Amber finds her passion as being a chef, and she's going to look at that. And then, of course, Lucy and Jake work everything out, and we live happily Christmas after. So that was a lot of rambling. That was not my normal movie reviews today, but that was a 5-star Christmas. You may not know this, but I really enjoyed it. So what did you think about it? What were the highlights of it? Is there anything that caught my eye that you thought the same way? Did you think those doors were huge? Those doors were huge. But let me know what you thought about the movie. Let me know what you thought about this review. I'm sorry I just rambled on a little bit longer than I planned to, but you can tell that I really enjoyed the movie. So subscribe to the channel. Leave me a comment. Let's talk about movies tomorrow, right?